When I was 13 years old, I'll never forget the time my, who was it? It was somebody told me that Frank Sinatra's father was getting laid out at McCagnon Funeral Parlor. Now, I was a Sinatra fan in a strange way. My father was born on the same day, same block, and I had to listen to my aunt say, "Sam was born on the same day in the same block as your father. Your father was born in Hoboken on the same day." I listened to this my whole life. And then my mother in the background, "He's a bum. He owes my father money." See, back in 1942, my mother, Marie, just like every other Italian woman was called Marie, her father, Tony, just like everybody was called Anthony, lent Dolly Sinatra money in 41, 42. And so when I come running home from finding out that Sinatra's dad was getting laid out in McCagney's, that was 8 blocks from my house, I decided I'm going to go to this thing. I went up there at 3 o'clock and there was barricades all over the place. Movie stars flying in from all over. And I'm dressed like, I'm like in 9th grade. I got dungaree jacket and a dungaree pants, and it was part of the 1969 hippie movement at that age. And so I got with my friend Robbie Burden, nice Irish guy. His father was a doctor, and he was with me, and I said, "Come on, we got to go get suits on." So we go get these suits. We go home, and I go, "Dad, Mom, we're going to go up to McCagney's, we're going to see Sinatra, his father's getting laid out there." Out of the background, my mother yells, "He's a bum." I'm like, "Oh, Madonna me, I got to listen to this, don't worry." My father rolled his eyes, and he was, he was cool. He was like, "Sinatra's cool, don't worry about it, Mike, go." All right, so now I go up, I get my only suit. It's probably like my confirmation suit. Maybe it was my communion suit, who knows. I was 100 pounds soaking wet at that time. And I stayed 100 pounds soaking wet for a while. I always wanted to be like Sinatra, but the only way I was like him, I was skinny as shit like him. But at any rate, so I go to get Robbie at his house. Now, his mother was from the Deep South, and she had a black maid, and she also had columns in front of her house, big white columns. Now, this is Cliffside Park, an Italian-American neighborhood. The only house on the block's got these columns like it's the Deep South. And then I ring the bell, and I hear from the background, Robbie, you hanging around with those bums again?" Now I'm sitting there saying, "Holy shit, here we go with that bum talk again." So now I've got to go to this. Well, let me finish that. Under my breath, I turn around and say, "I could hear you, you southern bitch. What the hell you doing, talking like that? I could hear you." So next thing you know, Robbie comes out and we head up there. We have to climb these big mountainous hills up Edgewater Road. And we get there, and I remember when my grandfather was laid out there was these bushes in the back of McCagney's. So I said, "Look, we're going to go," because I'm getting up there like 5 o'clock. Of course, the next viewing's at like 7. So we're getting up there at 5, and behind the funeral parlor were doors where they used to pull the caskets out. And I remembered that because of my grandfather getting shoved out there. The flowers would come in there. So I said, "Look, we're going to get behind those bushes. And as soon as these cars stop pulling in, we're going to jump out, and whoever's going in, we're going to go in with them, because we're never going to get in the front door." Well, needless to say, I get in there. We're sitting in the back. We're in the bushes. We're smoking cigarettes. We're waiting. Cars, nothing's happening. We see some cars pull up front. We're like, I'm waiting. I don't think I'm ever going to get in. And then all of a sudden, 3 limos come sweeping to the back of the place. I said, "Robbie, here we go. Let's do this now." So we jump out, and those doors swing open, and we just kind of crouch down. Mind you, this is winter. We were freezing our ass off back there. This was in January. So now we sneak in right behind him. I end up like, you're right in the room when you sneak in. So next thing you know, I'm in like the 5th row, and I'm like 10 feet from Sinatra. I'm like, holy shit. You know, he's right there. Now I remember him from, don't forget him, in like 9th grade. This is 1969. He had a hit or two on the radio, and Sammy Davis had I Gotta Be Me or something else, the Candy Man. Nancy Sinatra had These Boots Are Made for Walking. I mean, there's a lot of hits they were having. Meanwhile, the Beatles were running hot, but you would identify, everybody listened to the same station. You knew everybody's hits back then. So it was quite an experience from my point of view. But all of a sudden the doors slammed shut, and I'm like, holy shit, I think we got caught. Maybe they don't want us to run out. But as it turned out, the priest walked in, and we were going to say the prayer, the final prayer for Marty Sinatra, the poor father in the casket. So my eyes were pinned on Sinatra the whole time. Everybody was there, but I don't know if it was my memory or what, but it was all about Sinatra. It was like, I was mesmerized because I remember him and he looked older than I saw him on television. But to make the story end with a little drama, I don't have any ending drama. It was just a very exciting time. They said the prayer and we mingled our way out, and I went home and told everybody about this, incredible experience. And that basically opens up the chapter in my memoir of a book that I'm writing and a screenplay that I'm putting together. And I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope you enjoyed this story.